Hello, today I'm speaking to the Innovation Award judges here at BAI Retail Delivery, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Sandeep Deobhakta, Head of Personal Banking Africa for Standard Bank.
Aixa Manelli, I am the Chief Information Officer of the Banco Itau in Argentina.
Hi, I'm Patrick Desmares and I'm heading an association of 3,000 banks from 60 countries all over the world.
So Sandeep, I'm going to start with you. You know, there are difficult global economic conditions we're dealing with right at the moment, and there are a lot of unique challenges facing the retail banking industry. So given that, is this really the right time to innovate?
I think now more than at any other time, you need to be innovative, simply because what's happening with regulation is that the cost of compliance and capital is just making it difficult to make money, and it's squeezing the bottom line. So we need innovation now more than ever to basically get process, get the customer experience. All of the issues facing us are around growing revenues and managing expenses. And you can't do that without innovating to improve the customer experience and retention. So I think it's really critical that we get it right now.
Yeah, I was hoping the rest of the panel could comment on this as well.
I agree with Sandeep. Innovation is the main tool for the banks to differentiate their products and better serve the needs of the customers in an efficient way.
Well, I'd like maybe to make a difference between mature markets and emerging markets. In mature markets, there is low growth and a fierce competition that obliges bankers not to stand still. I mean, they cannot remain the same while competitors are moving very fast, and you've got also a competition from the non-banks. In fast emerging markets, maybe the equation is different. You have to grow very rapidly, and there again you have to innovate in order to gain market share very rapidly. And in both cases, you cannot stand still. You have to innovate, definitely, more than ever.
I mean, there are a lot of unique constraints that are facing the retail banking industry, you know, namely regulation and accessibility, and of course the always tight investments in technology. So how can banks really move beyond some of these hindrances and take advantage of advancements in innovation? So I'll start with you.
I think there's a couple of key points there. I think if I look at Africa, we've got different regulations in each country in the mobile space, for instance. Some are more MNO friendly and some are more bank friendly, for instance. In each of those markets, you need a different approach and a strategy. And I think it's important that we work with regulation and try and get the proposition out to customers. I think the other point I'd like to make quickly about innovation is that no matter what the banks do, the context for the customer is changing dramatically. So if I look at Africa, the way people use mobile phones and use new technology, that's going to keep changing, and banks have no choice but to be part of that and to innovate to be part of that, because the customer journey and the experience is changing quite significantly.
So do you agree with that? I think the world is changing always, and the customer are changing their needs and their requirements, and in this way efficiency gains are always possible, and we must rethink our processes and practices in this context. In South America, many of the countries, the regulations are enormous, more than an exception, and the main issue is the challenge is to comply and to adapt to the regulations without losing the track of the main goal, the business itself and the satisfaction of our customers.
Well, We've done research. We've surveyed about 300 banks in 60 countries in the world, asking to the bankers what they thought was the best ways to improve their innovation performance and measure it. And what comes out of it is that definitely you should have a very clear and focused innovation strategy. You should also have all the necessary resources behind it in terms of not only budgets but also teams and people working for you. You should make use of open innovation. This is something very important, and it should all start with the customer focus, definitely. And thanks to this, if you add on top of it good measures and make sure that your performance is really tracked, then you should be successful.
So here's a good time to talk about advice, all three of you being judges. So for next year's Innovation Award winners, what advice would you give to the nominees for 2013?
To me personally, the thing that really matters is the customer impact. There's a lot of innovation that's driven by technology and other things, but what really cuts it is when you see the customer impact of that innovation, and when that makes a significant difference to the customer and the business, that would rate very highly on my list.
And your advice?
I share the opinion with Sandeep, but I consider too the impact in the business. For the countries like us, South America, Argentina in particular, it will be important to the business impact, not only the customer impact, both of them. I think my recommendation to stand out in this innovation cycle is to explain clear what are the impacts in both sides.
Any differences?
Well, as it's been said, customer focus and measurable impact is key. But I'm still expecting the iPad of banking or the Google of banking. And per definition, you don't see it coming. It comes, and suddenly it changes the game. So we are still expecting the big disruptive innovation in banking.
So yes, you mentioned you're looking for the great disruptor, the Google in banking. So from the awards this year, who really surprised you and inspired you this year?
I think the one thing that really struck me across all our winners was the sheer passion. They tick all the boxes in terms of customer impact and market impact and all of that. But what really stood out was that there is a strong passion in terms of the culture of innovation. And just talking to the people here and looking at the submissions, that's something that I think really stands out for me.
I think an interesting trend, but not a surprising one, is the trend to the new channels, the social network sites, and so on, and the mobile, but not such as a trend, also such a fact, really, and including the vision of the need of the customer. No? The customer is now require more accessibility to the banks all the time, every hour of the day, and I think this is the point is to help our customers to access the bank every day, everywhere, and so on.
And your view?
A big surprise this year, well, actually it was also the case last year, but more than last year, it's the geographical spread of innovation. And it's really actually coming from emerging markets from all over the world. And you would see innovations coming from Poland, Turkey, South Africa, Philippines, all these kind of countries. And very few are actually coming from the mature countries, which is kind of a surprise. So maybe this will change next year.